At what age did you feel like this is real? From being somebody who like just loved playing baseball, wanted to play in college. I'm not so sure I'm gonna get drafted or I'm gonna sign yet, but like I'm pretty good.
In my 9th grade year.
So you were 15.
15, yeah. I was playing varsity as a freshman and starting catcher. Just like the separation of that, like, okay, they're obviously wanting me to play varsity.
The Atlanta Braves offer you a contract of $100 million. What were you guys thinking at that point?
Gotta take it.
I'm like, what?
I recognize when you're trying to help a family understand that $100 million is not the right number, how that can be like, come again? 100 million is not the right number, but we're never gonna spend 100 million. We turned down 212 and we went through all these various teams and you were like, I'd rather be with Atlanta. And I'm like, would you bet $212 million that one team is gonna be the team that comes and gives you that money? How do you feel about it? And you're like, I'm taking the deal. So we are in, where are we right now? This is your shop.
We're in my shop.
So, country boy who's got a shop, what do we do in the shop? We got the gym, obviously.
Yeah, we got the
people
gym.
People can't see.
Yeah.
We got a gym over here.
Got a gym.
We got a sauna.
You got a sauna for, just being cold in the winter so I can sweat a little bit. I got all my deer mounts.
Which I don't think they can see.
You can't, you
they
can't
can see some ducks over here and maybe some turkey.
Yeah, I got like this is just my place. This is my place to come. Whether I'm watching football, working out. Anna says I have too much stuff and this is where it goes. And
this is your man cave.
This is my man cave.
I love it.
Yeah.
Every man deserves a man cave.
I would, yes,
right?
For sure.
Yeah, I would be here.
Yeah, a lot.
Most of the day,
yeah,
I think.
I'm up here a lot.
And they didn't get to see it, but obviously your two boys were here running around. So I think we all will look forward to them hitting these weights
at some point, yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to talk to Mike and Elisa, your parents. But before we did, I wanted to get into a little bit about, from your perspective, the impact that they made when you were coming up as a kid playing baseball. I know how meaningful and how impactful they were, but what can you share as far as, your journey? I think your mom and dad, it's a beautiful thing because they both kind of share a different role in that.
For sure. Oh, yeah.
I think a lot of times when players talk about their parents, it's like, okay, the dad's the baseball guy. And then the mom is maybe, she's very loving. And funny enough, I think your mom may talk almost as much baseball as your dad.
Oh, for sure. Obviously, dad was the one that was taking me, at practice, the true fundamentals of the game. He taught me all that. I remember doing, a pre-draft workout with Arizona. Tony LaRusso was there, and he was like, I was hitting the ball the other way. He's like, who taught you that? And I was like, my dad. That's just kind of how he's always taught me, was just, through the middle of the field.
He never played pro ball either. So it's not like,
I think he just, and it'd be a really good question to ask him because, I don't know if I've ever asked him. It's like, where did it come
how did
from?
you know
because
to teach this?
Yeah. But that's just kind of what he did, was just learning how to use a big part of the field. So just like I said, from the strictly fundamentals, dad obviously was who taught me all that. And then, but not taking anything from mom because she's as sharp on anything when it comes to baseball as anybody.
Yeah, it's funny. So the relationship that we all have now is, they're always together a lot of times when I call, right? And so she'll be in the background and maybe I'm talking to your dad and I'll ask her something and she's always thinking about the business, right? And so even through the draft process, when you talk about like which one was more opinionated about a specific thing, I always found that your mom,
for sure,
was definitely the one that's like, well, what about this, right? She had a lot of questions.
I think, and that's just the mother in her. Just still to this day, she will ask me. She's like, "Do you think we made the right decision? Like as far as like we didn't push you or anything." Oh, wow. She's still like,
oh, wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. And like I said, and in that process, she definitely was the one. And anything up until today's point, whether it's I'm taking the kids to the doctor or, buying some land, she's always asking questions.
Yeah.
So I think that's just part of her.
That's who she is.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm going to ask them this question, but I want to ask you before they're here. At what age did you feel like this is real? Like I went from being somebody who like just loved playing baseball, who wanted to play in college, and maybe who knows what happens? Maybe I get to be a professional at some point. Like, at what point was it like, oh, wait a second, this is actually something that I'm not so sure I'm going to get drafted or I'm going to sign yet, but like I'm pretty good.
I would say my 9th grade year.
Okay, so you were 15 at that
15,
point.
yeah.
And what was it about it?
Well, I think it was, I was playing varsity as a freshman, and typically you're playing JV. Starting catcher. I think just like the separation of that, of just like, okay, hey, they're obviously wanting me to play varsity, so I think it's there's something to that. But I think it wasn't until probably my sophomore year where it's like, I honestly didn't even like really think of pro ball.
I'm aware, because I remember, and we'll get into that, because I remember having plenty of conversations with you where I'm like, do you realize like this is a thing?
Yeah.
Because at that point, even your senior year, in your mind, you're going to college, right? Like that's just, I don't think I'm going to sign. It's college seems to be the logical pathway.
Right. I think it was just one of those things where, being in Mississippi, you're not, if you're in Florida, if you're in AZ, if you're in California, if you're in, in the bigger cities, it's like, okay, you're seeing these teams and like really, I guess, understanding what spring training's about and what pro ball, like the levels of everything. I don't know, it just wasn't talked a lot about growing up for whatever reason.
Well, and this was, so your senior year is 2015.
Yeah.
Right. So we're like, at that point, travel baseball was still really, really big back then.
Yeah.
So by no means was it, it's not necessarily as big as it is now, but it was still really, really big at that point.
For sure.
Right. But being in Mississippi, I guess the word that comes to mind is like, it is a little more sheltered, to where it's just not being thrust in your face every single day.
Like today's age, yes, but back then, no.
Not so
like
much.
Not at all.
Yeah. And then, so your dad played in the NFL.
Yeah.
Right? You played football too.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the things that we've oftentimes talked about on this podcast, whether it's scouts, executives that I've had on the podcast, is so many people talk and encourage players, if they can, continue playing multiple sports.
Oh, yeah.
Where was football? Because you weren't necessarily the prototypical football player, right? I think people would look at you and say,
linebacker.
Oh, man, absolutely. Middle linebacker, but you weren't. What position did you play?
I did all the kicking game.
Right, you were a kicker. Now, part of that, though, is because your dad was, too.
Yeah, no, so it was like it just growing up in the backyard, to just hang around, we just punted. That's kind of where that evolved. Now, I played quarterback my 8th grade year, played quarterback my 9th grade year, in my sophomore year, and 7-on-7, it was like, that's when 7-on-7, like, I felt like got really, really big.
Yeah.
And obviously during the summer I was playing baseball, and like, my high school coach, kind of wanted me to be at these 7-on-7s. I was just like, I like baseball more. And I wanted to play baseball. And so I was like, I'm not missing, we had football season, this is baseball season.
Right. Did you think at that point, was it that you loved baseball more? Was it that you thought you were better at baseball? Was it a combination of both?
I felt like I was better at baseball, but I also still to this day, I love the game better than football. I think it's just, and that's what I tell people all the time, is just from a baseball standpoint, it seems boring, but if you get down to the technical nitty gritty of things, of just the little, like, that's the name of the game, is the attention to the little details.
Sure.
And I think that's what I like so much about the game. So I think that's kind of why I gravitated versus just, not, I mean, I know there's some thought in football, but, not just getting a football and going knocking the heck out of each other.
Think about the dad who, let's just say, didn't play professional baseball, right? Maybe played a little bit of college, but their son seems to be on a trajectory as called a freshman in high school. That's going to be a little bit more advanced than that dad ever was. Compare that to now being in the big leagues. How much more about those intricate details, about all the little things that go behind the scenes to make certain things happen in the game. If you think about that dad whose son is 15, what percentage of the game would you say they know compared to the big leagues? If the big leagues is 100%.
To me, it's not as less as you think. I don't think. I mean, I would say, just from generic number speaking, I would say 50%.
50%.
Just because I think, like I said, everything's out there. what separates to me, obviously you got the talent, but what separates to me the most is just the mental side of the game.
Right.
Once you get up to the big leagues, it's just like, you deal with all this pressure and people but when you're in between those lines, you're playing the same. I mean, they say it all the time. You're playing the same game that everybody's playing when you were in T-ball.
So the mental side that you're talking about, it's really, as a hitter, it's thinking about, all right, how is this pitcher?
Right. Yeah, I think you start to get a little bit more technical with things as far as, the data that is applied or, given to us, to, the game planning, just the small thing. Like I said, it kind of goes back to that detail-oriented thing. It's just how prepared can you be on a nightly basis whenever you go out there to compete on, when you're facing a pitcher.
I think one of the biggest things that
was my number close?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there is a right number, right? It's really just, I think it's subjective, like whatever.
Yeah.
Your experience is different than someone else's. Right. Someone else may say maybe that dad knows a little less, maybe a little more, but I think 50% is, point being is like there's a lot that they don't necessarily know, to no fault of their own.
No.
But the game at the highest level, it's different. In every sport,
it's
sure. Different, right?
For sure.
But I would say the biggest thing that I think a lot of parents, when they're talking about their son, whether it's a pitcher or hitter, that they struggle with is like the approach.
Yeah.
Right? I think a parent or even a kid at 15 years old, like go back to when you were 15. What was your approach at the plate?
I mean, up the middle. That was
right. It's much more basic, like see ball, hit ball.
Yeah,
for sure. Various things.
I was honestly thinking about this the other day. Take the walk-off in 21 against Blake Trinan. Okay. So 21, Blake Trinan with the Dodgers. I ended up, game-winning hit down the line on a slider, down and away.
An LCS?
An LCS.
Yeah.
So kind of take you through that approach. Okay, so power sinker with a wipeout slider. So if I remember correctly, because I think I was watching it back through, so this is where it's like technical of like how I get this swing off. It's like, okay, power sinker. I think he threw me a sinker down and in that I literally was thinking like a sand wedge, trying to hit this pitch because it's moving so much, and I was over it. So I was like, okay, in order for me to have any production in this at bat, I remember telling myself, I was like, okay, the only way I'm going to be able to stay through the fastball but still stay on the slider, I was like, okay, I'm going to tell myself, I'm going to try to hit this fastball, a bloop single over the first base head, because that'll keep me inside the ball. That'll keep me like under it. I was like, and that'll at least give me enough bat that if he throws a slider, if I'm not, ready for it, I can at least cap it down the line. I end up doing that down the line to win the game. So it's like when you're starting to play that like super mind game of like, okay, wedge didn't work because that's the thought I had. I was like, okay, now I got to come up with something else because balls are moving so much in today's game. It's like, okay, now I got to come up with something else to let me protect the fastball, but also stay on, an 86-mile-an-hour wipeout slider.
Right. The reason I love that analogy example is you take a kid who's 15.
Yeah.
The goal is not to think like that today.
No.
Because you can't.
No, you can't.
You had to learn
for sure.
to get to a place where thoughts like that aren't thoughts that are making you worse. They're actually preparing you for that at-bat. Sure. That only could happen by spending the years that you spent through the minor league system working up to that place.
A thought like that wouldn't even cross my mind until probably double A.
Right.
Triple A. Like when you start really getting to the nitty like gritty of like, okay, guys are starting to know what they're doing. But the basics of it is just, like I said, it was him pounding in my head, Dad, stay up the middle. Stay up the middle, stay up the middle, stay up the middle.
I love it. So I've got a lot of questions. Some of these questions I know the answer to because we've had many conversations. Just so you guys know too, my listener is pretty much like you guys, right? Travel baseball parents who have a kid who's obviously really good at the sport and they have ambitions of wanting to help their son get to the big leagues. And so I want to know, and I've talked to Austin about this separately, but I guess from your guys' perspective, whoever wants to go first, When did you guys first see something in Austin where you thought, I feel like this kid's got a chance? Because I do feel like a lot of parents maybe think that too often, right? Oh, my son's the best out there and my son's going to be a major league player. Oftentimes they're not, right? And so, but from your guys' perspective, now you have a son who not only is a big leaguer, who's an all-star, who was fortunate to sign for life-changing money. When did that point come? Was it like a moment you realized? Did it happen over time?
To me, I think it was over time. I think it was more because we constructed a team, obviously, and just like everything else we went through, we had our practices where the Monday practice, the Tuesday practice, whatever the schedule was, and obviously everybody goes to those.
Yeah.
But I think it was more so probably 13, 14, where over time it was he consistently wanted to go do more and more and more.
Yeah, he wanted to work.
Right. Versus, hey, we got to go do this. To me, that was one thing that we already was seeing in terms of where he was at versus everybody else.
Yeah, like comparing him to other players physically and right, talent-wise, you're like, all right, he's already one of the better kids, but the want to, he had that. That's what I'm hearing you say.
Right.
Younger for me just because,
Really?
Well, I mean, I was around all these small kids, right?
Yeah.
I mean, talking about baseball, but he rode a bike when he was 2 with no training wheels. I mean, it was very, 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 maybe 3, but it was so young. And I'm watching him and I'm thinking, wow. Yeah. And he could roller skate. And
so you saw the physicality at an early age.
Yes.
And that kind of tipped you off. Did you guys ever have a moment together where you said, hey, I think this kid's pretty good?
Probably
in inside our house somewhere.
Yeah, probably more than once, honestly. Yeah.
It's kind of like the it factor. You just, without having to say anything, you kind of just, you just kind of know.
Yeah.
I
mean, look,
it's not, I don't want to say obvious, but it is obvious.
Sure.
At that point that he was at least a little bit above the better players anyway.
Mike, we shared earlier, so you obviously played in the NFL, right? Do you think any of the analysis that you had as far as like how good he could be from the mental side came from seeing some of the best football players and like what they had?
I'll tell you, yes, because my first year with Detroit, I was let go. I was let go both years, but each year I beat, in my opinion, I beat Jim Arnold out, but they went with him because he was the more veteran players, which gave me a sense of really when things aren't going to go the way I think they should go or what the results stated, then you still get kind of knocked back a little bit. Then you just got to keep plugging and really bear down and get with it, so to speak.
So, Austin, maybe this is a question for you. What did your parents do that you feel like if they hadn't done this for me, I don't know if I'd be where I'm at right now at a young age?
No, I think the biggest thing, obviously I got a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, so I'm around parents a little bit that have kids that are older than me. And I think what they did a really good job of is not the pressure of like, I didn't feel like I was, filling my dad's shoes or, filling mom's shoes or, you know what I mean? It was just like, it was my sport. It was what I, wanted to do. Don't get me wrong. They pushed me for sure. And you have to. But I think they were really good at gauging when the pressure needed to be pressed, when they needed to back off. Like I said, I think they did a really good job as far as just like, when it came to like the pressure of pushing me, that you see in some of these, these kids' days where, they kind of ruin it for the kid.
Was that intentional? Like, were you aware of that?
Well, yes, because I think Mike was the presser and I was kind of like, okay, let's dial it back just a little bit.
So you guys worked off of each other a little bit.
We talked a lot about it too. And I was like, he probably needs to go to the lake this week, just
get away from the game and not think about it.
Yes, because he would play every second, and I was going like, nope, let's give him a break, and I think we balanced each other.
It was a combo, really good combo, but and I think along those lines with him was I think that we chose when to press, like when he had a good game. Like when he went 3 for 3, 4 for 4, then it was time to push the buttons. Hey, you could have done more.
Uh-huh.
And then when he didn't have a good game, it was just, so what?
Yeah.
You know, I think we picked and choose when to press the gas or put on the
Pull
brake.
back. Yeah. We were talking about the Arizona Diamondbacks pre-draft workout when Tony La Russa pulled him aside and said, hey, who taught you how to hit like that? And he obviously was saying, well, my dad. When you put his, what I'll call kind of like development plan together prior to him getting a pro ball, right? And you guys are working on things in the cage. Where did a lot of that education, right? Your understanding about where'd that come from?
You know, because my first 2.5 years I played with baseball at Mississippi State. So I was under Ron Polk and that program and pretty much right there.
Okay.
And then just trying to learn from I mean, I was always one to be around guys in baseball and doing lessons or whatnot with other people, and just I've always tried to take from other people bits and pieces to try to apply to, you know, to him back in the day, you know.
Yeah, I think one of the things that a lot of dads struggle with, probably more than anybody, is they have opinions, right? And they try to force those opinions on their son. And sometimes the son is not, you know, agreeing with it, right? Hey, dad, not now, or you don't understand, or you've never played, you know, at the highest level. What do you know? And I feel like knowing you guys together and like seeing how it's evolved over the years, whatever you did, it was this like perfect balance of let's work on this, but up to a certain point, like when he gets to pro ball, obviously it's like, all right, now he's working with different coaches and they may have different philosophies. So did you ever get to a place where you're in pro ball now and maybe some of the stuff he was talking about maybe wasn't still what you would use?
I've always, like, when we were kind of making that transition into pro ball and stuff, I would always kind of verify with him. Like, we talk pretty much after every game, if he's not asleep already. And it was just like that, more of like verification, like, hey, does this make sense? Like, because like I said, I was, 18, 19 going into, these hitting coaches that never have met. And, he had always kind of been my coach. So like I said, it was more of like verifying with him. I was like, hey, does this make sense? Yes. But like I said, he's done, I think a really good job even now that this new school of hitting has kind of evolved, learning the game, and he's caught on to, certain moves that I'm trying to, to do to kind of help me. And he's able, he can spot them now, where I would say like I say 5 or 6 years ago, like it was still kind of that learning curve, but no, there's been some evolve around of like I said, I'm in Atlanta, he's here, of just kind of figuring out a system to kind of all.
Yeah, I know. I'm about to bring that up, by the way.
Yeah. So, and I think what also old school, new school. Old school and back during the day, I think everybody did it. With some of the things with the swing. And I think more importantly with him, and for the disadvantage that a lot of the kids even today is they got dad telling them one thing, they got their hidden guy that they go to probably saying a different thing. Then that afternoon they go to their coach or their team practice and they got 2 or 3 coaches there that are probably saying, so now all of a sudden in a 24-hour period they've heard 4 different things on what you're supposed to do with your swing. And I think growing up, it was just us. It was us and a couple, Mike Klepsick, Scott Kraft. There was just a handful of coaches, but we had them specifically throughout a 10 or 12 year period.
Yeah, you guys were all on, it sounds like, on the same page too. So he wasn't hearing different opinions.
No, Gary Blaylock as well.
Yeah.
Gary Blaylock, for sure.
And that's why I think like I'm also, blessed with, is like he was my hitting coach, whereas like some of these kids are having to go to, like, I got pitching lessons, but I never got hitting lessons. So like being able to, I only heard his voice for the first 15 years of my life when I was trying to, learn the fundamentals of baseball.
Well, and you just said something which I think is important. A lot of families today, and I think it comes from a good place, they want to provide their kid with the absolute best. And so there's so many resources today, right? You can go to these TikTok videos, which we don't even need to get started with your TikTok. You know, mom and dad are like, okay, my son is willing. Let's get him the best. What's the best? And that's such a hard thing to find out, right?
Yes,
so what happens is these kids think, okay, it comes from the travel ball program. So now we need to find a different team. My son's not as good as he could be because we're on the wrong team. When in reality, it's not that that's necessarily wrong. It's just, I think if a parent looks at that as though that's some like easy fix, oftentimes the negative to that, the downside is you now take him away from something that maybe was working, maybe not as good as you hope, but now he's trying something new and it's not working at all. So now we have to find a different team and hope that we can get back to where we once were. You guys didn't do that.
Yeah, we were the Mississippi
all the way until they were
Royals and
about
then
16.
They just put together such a good group that it just worked.
Did you guys look at, so when you guys were trying to identify tournaments to go to, was it strategic at an early age or was it like, we just got to go play?
It was strategic. Back then, though, I mean, and we were fortunate. We had Snowden and they had just built it, and all the better teams in the area came here. So we didn't have to do a lot of traveling.
We were in Atlanta a lot.
As we got older.
As we got older. Yeah. Well, it started off a little young.
You start out really, really close to home, and then it slowly starts to, you know, grow and change. And when you guys think about how good he has become, did you ever see that as being a possibility? Like in your mind, were you like, oh no, he's going to sign for hundreds of millions of dollars?
I did.
You did.
And I can remember right where I was sitting. I was sitting in my living room. I'm thinking, and I think the Braves came on. I thought I could imagine it. And I've told a lot of people that it's the weirdest thing. Not really thinking at the time, but it came to my mind. My kid could play. He could play pro ball. Right. I mean, I'm not making that up. I mean, people are, sure, but I really, really, really.
Knowing you, I believe that.
No, I did. Yeah. I did. I can remember. I can remember the time where I was and everything, and thinking it's like.
And appreciate it. With me playing college baseball, and I was around on the team. I didn't play much, but
sorry, big dog.
Yeah, right. But seeing that level of players when I was at Mississippi State, because you had John Coyne, you had Tommy Raff, you had some of the better Pete Young, you had some of the better players in college at that time, and I thought, just like Lisa just said, I thought the same thing. I thought that he could play at a very, very high level.
Mom and Dad, this is a question for you guys. Like, did you guys have goals for him at like 15?
I don't know if you could say, for me, I don't know if they were goals. I had routines for him, and it was all based on what he wanted to do. And it gets back to, I think kids now, I mean, and the parents, they want it so much, and the kids do too, but they only get what they drop their kids off at the practice or the facility to do.
Uh-huh.
And ours was, I think it was a routine and it was all based on him. I mean, we would go Friday, Saturday, Sunday if he wanted to, and he did. It was not nonstop, but it was by choice, his choice.
I didn't ever feel like there was goals or expectations, but like you said, the routines of, like, he got the rice bucket, the stretching. Every night he would make me stretch, sit at the fireplace
underneath the tree out here, and we put a piece of turf down, and we'd spend hours out there, just.
And that was just something that you said.
We were just always outside, so it's like, and it wouldn't even be like a specific, hey, we're hitting today. It was like, we'd be outside peeling around. I was like, hey, let's go. We had the net there. I was like, let's go hit some.
They don't sit still.
So I think it was also kind of our nature of, like, we were outside or doing something all the time.
And so, I can recognize you have two guys here. Was it hard for you to kind of find your place in that?
No, it didn't seem to be. No.
Okay. So the reason I bring it up, I think a lot of moms sometimes do try to figure out, like, this is their thing. And not that that's a problem.
I felt like I was there in that aspect. I'm like, Mike, he needs a break. Give him a, because he would be doing it all the time. And I'm like, okay, He's got friends, let him go. And
yeah, you were the gas, she was the brake.
That was my role.
I think we meshed very. I mean, it was
because he worked nights, so I mean, there was a lot of times where it was her that was doing all the driving.
Right, which is, by the way, a great point, because I think a lot of parents struggle with this too. It's like, how do we even find the time to do any of this stuff? You were literally working like graveyard shifts.
Yeah, 7:30 at night to 7:30 in the morning.
And so when are you hitting with them?
Every day.
But like, what time?
3:30, just after school.
Okay.
Yeah.
Before you went to work.
And it's funny because I remember as soon as I would get home, and a lot of times I got home around 7, and he went to school like at 7:30. So we'd be out as soon as I got home, we'd be out in the middle of the street throwing a little bit just before he went to school. You know, we did that a bunch. So just.
Was it a blast?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
You know, it was me. You know, it's just what I did growing up as well. You know, not to that extent, obviously, but you know, I loved it.
Well, the balance that I want to make sure everybody kind of understands and sees is there was a comfort that you guys had in you're present with each other, right? You see his talent, but you're like letting it develop. Because I think sometimes parents, it's like they're trying to control everything. My son's not working out hard enough. My son doesn't, want to be outside as much as he wanted to be. And so it's like, I need to be the guy that pushes him to do this stuff. Now, you guys may have been fortunate. You didn't have to because he wanted to do it himself. But I think one of the biggest negatives, one of the downsides a lot of families is they feel like, well, if we don't do this, he's not going to do it. For a kid maybe that hasn't figured it out, I don't think it's a matter of mom and dad telling them, no, you have to do this.
Right.
I think you have to let him figure that out earlier so that when it happens, it can happen earlier. And then you can kind of, almost like fit into that role more naturally as mom and dad.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen players, being in pro ball that have talked about that various thing and like they're out of ball because it's like
they don't love it.
They don't love it.
Yeah, it was too much.
It was too much. I mean,
they didn't like baseball.
No.
Yeah. No, that happens a lot. I mean, we oftentimes talk about, you obviously know Joe. I was talking to him the other day and, he still works with a bunch of professional athletes as like a mental skills guy. And he talks often about how like you would be so surprised that, let's just say you take a major league player and you would say for any major league player who's made it, right? That's like the parents, like we did it, right? We did a great job. Look at, we helped our son get to this place. But then you talk to the player and he's still dealing with these like residual issues of like, he's so hard on himself. And it comes from like, maybe his dad was really hard on him or his mom was really hard on him. And so I think sometimes these parents they lose sight of that. They think, well, yeah, but I did my job. Look at him. It's like, well, maybe he could have got there. And then maybe you guys would have a closer relationship if you did do that. So that's one of those things that
it's a fine line.
Yeah, it is. And I think, you've talked about how you've seen that. So,
and and that's what I see right now is, I mean, versus because it's a process. I mean, obviously, and when I think parents, and I see it at our facility and around, is when they don't immediately see results or greatness, then it's just it's a panic almost, like, and what do we do? Do we need to hit 2 more times? Just whatever the case may be, but it's a panic. They just got to trust the process.
I just did this podcast where I talked about the difference between expectations and agreements. And what I mean by that is parents have these unspoken expectations, right? That live in your head. You look at him and you're like, I expect that you're going to give 110% at practice, outside, working out, whatever it is. And maybe they don't tell the player this, but they expect it. And so when there's a tournament coming up this weekend and, you're the player and you go hang out with your buddies, you show up late, you're tired, you perform like crap that tournament, mom and dad are pissed, right? We're spending all this money. What are you doing? So that's naturally what happens, right? Mom and dad go to the player and they say, what's your deal? And what do you think the player does? Right? Like, why are you pissed? What did I do? That's what I mean. Like you have these expectations, but you're never communicating them. It looks like he has something in mind. I don't know.
Oh, no.
Oh, okay.
I was just
you're just curious?
Yeah.
I have a little mom guilt with the fact that he was always playing baseball. Like, I think, well, maybe I should have let him, you know,
Like
or
maybe be a
encouraged
kid more
him to,
and-
yes, go do this. So I do. I have a little guilt.
But again, I mean, that's what he wanted. I mean,
Yeah.
and I think as parents,
maybe.
you just, if that's what you want, hey, it's like Zach. He didn't want to play, so we didn't push him to play. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, there's a balance.
Until he lost the game in darts, and then I'm
then you made him.
no, I didn't make him.
Okay.
I held him to
There you go.
No, yeah. I told you earlier, she's still asking me, she's like,
I do to this day. I remember when he drove away going to camp, and I'm thinking, you know, dude, should he have gone to college? Should we have pushed him to college? Because you miss out on that, and I do.
One of the strong points of all of this is as a group family. I mean, we've always talked about stuff, so you know, we've talked it out, whatever the situation may be, and we 9 times out of 10 we've always come to a conclusion on what we think is best together. So therefore, I think the decisions were whatever they were, which was based on what he wanted, were fairly easy.
It's also hard to it's a hard question to analyze, right? Because it's like, well,
he's gonna tell us.
It all worked.
Yeah,
like,
it worked out really well.
Yeah. It is interesting. Yeah. Like I wish maybe he didn't play so much baseball and like enjoyed his childhood maybe a little bit more, but he's never brought that up to me once. So,
but parents do live through their kids. So, because I'm telling you, we've had a blast. The high school ball, all that was.
Do you miss it?
Yes.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't necessarily want to go back. I don't mean that, but yeah, I mean, I kind of, you know, because all of our friends, all of his friends, you know, it was fun. We had fun.
We had a good group.
And it goes by so fast.
So fast. Yes. Like, come on, grandkids.
I know.
You know, it does. It's
It does.
fast
Like,
track.
that's really all we did.
Well, and you're still giving lessons, right?
Right.
So what are you seeing now with the kids that are coming up that maybe is different than what you guys experienced? Do you see parents maybe a little more overbearing?
What I see is not really overbearing. I think it's the same concept. I mean, they want what's best for their kid, period. They're trying to put them with what they think is somebody that gives them a as good as opportunity as anybody else. There's a lot of good people in this area that know baseball. So, I mean, the opportunities here are really good. But at the same time, what I see is where they used to be outside playing baseball all day long. Now the kids are on, the video games. And that's, they do that and then they go to practice, So that's the biggest thing that I see is they just don't do it outside all day long,
right?
Like they did.
Right. You brought up college. So let's talk about that a little bit, because going through the draft, I remember when we were on the road show going to all these pre-draft workouts, I remember talking to Austin and I would say to him, all I've ever heard you talk about is college. And to a point, and this is what's going to be funny, you've seen something in him, as did you, really early on. I remember when we were going through the draft, there was an expectation in the industry when we started that senior year where it's like, hey, kid may go pretty good. We don't know that he's a first rounder. And then as that season played out, all of a sudden, now it's like, hey guys, I'm just letting you know, like, it's real. Yeah. Like, this isn't like, hey, maybe he's a 3rd round pick. Like, he's got a legit shot to be a first rounder. Now, it's still guaranteed. He's got to continue to perform, but it became a lot more real. So as we started going to these pre-draft workouts, I remember telling him, I do not want you to tell me in advance whether you want to sign or go to college. But after we're done, I want you to give me your answer. Yeah. And literally, of course, I'm going to college. I already know I'm going to college. I'm like, just wait. But when you guys were going through that together, did you see that like, did you think, oh, he's going to sign? Like, I believe he is going to get taken in the 1st round and he's going to sign.
I think I was afraid to believe that.
Okay.
Really.
Like, you didn't want to set the expectation in your mind?
No, I did not. When the night of the draft, people started showing up at our house, and I was like, get away. What if he doesn't get drafted? I didn't want him there.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I just wanted, because like I wanted to take the hit by ourselves. That,
right.
That he didn't go in the whatever. How many rounds with that the first 3 rounds? Like, oh. So, no. He did. He believed more than me. Yes.
I didn't know. I mean, because if you never have gone through that with anybody, you don't know. But, with the amount of attention that he was getting in terms of it was every week or two or three times a week. Somebody was in our house.
No, and we had GMs show up at games, and I remember talking to you about that.
Right. So, you start to think that, maybe it is a possibility. And I remember us going to a workout in Atlanta.
Oh, yeah.
And he had a really good workout. And I think I told you in the motel, I said, that was really good.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
I remember that.
I don't
right
know,
after that, I got a phone call from the GM.
I don't know what happens from there, but that's got to do something,
Yeah. I mean, even at that age, right, at 18 years old, like, you look like a big leaguer in a uniform.
Yes.
And so that's an imposing thing. Like, all of a sudden, you're looking at these other kids who maybe are skinny, 180 pounds. You were like 225 then?
Yeah, 225. Yeah. I got down to like 220.
Right. So you looked the part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm about what I was
right
now.
Right, which is crazy.
Yeah.
All right, so then we obviously sign. He goes to pro ball. We've talked about this plenty. He goes down, and he goes 0 for 26?
0 for 22. It was 0 for 22.
23.
23.
18 strikeouts.
18 strikeouts.
We did not have to bring that back.
And I've talked, funny story. I've talked to Brian Bridges, who was the scouting director at the time, just to let everybody know if they don't know. So you were a two-way guy. You were a pitcher and a hitter. And we probably had about half the teams that liked you as a pitcher, half the teams that liked you as a hitter. The Braves were one of those teams, and it was Brian Bridges who said, this kid can hit. And just so everybody knows, there was a team who literally told me when we called teams right before the draft and said, Austin actually wants to be a hitter, who said, you're making the biggest mistake of your life. This kid is not going to be a hitter. And so we laugh about it now because it's like, oh, really? Couldn't be a hitter? But Brian Bridges believed in it. You get drafted, you go out there, 0 for 23 with 18 strikeouts. Brian Bridges called the GM, I take it back, called one of the scouts, one of the special assignment scouts, and said, should we be thinking about like throwing this guy on the mound? Like, was I wrong? How about that? Have I ever told you that story?
I think you have.
Yeah.
Well, I was getting tweeted that
all the fans
were like, oh, he'll be a pitcher by September. Don't worry about it. Like,
we were panicking.
Well, so what was going through your guys' mind?
We were at home, and I was like, Mike, we got to get down there.
They flew down there.
We came down.
Yeah, we went down.
And guess what?
Got a knock.
So what was that like, though?
It was awful.
I know.
It's terrible.
I
was like,
awful.
Were you second guessing whether you can do this?
Everything. I was second guessing everything.
So how did you get through it?
Well, I mean, obviously they came down, which was like nice to see because
reassuring.
It was like the first time I've ever left. I mean, I'm from small town Mississippi. It's like, I think they were just like, it's gonna come. And, obviously I had some really good hitting coaches. Like, they showed no panic. They were like, it's all about development. They're not worried. They're like, you just got to get the one. I still remember feeling like the first knock, and it finally hit me.
Like a weight off your shoulders. Yeah.
And then I went off.
I know I've told you guys this. I don't know if I shared it with you. So Dylan, who works with us, played with the Braves, and he was in Danville ahead of Austin, and he played third base. And so, his dad was Kurt Manwaring, played in the big leagues for, a decade, won a bunch of gold gloves as a catcher. And Dylan says the first time he realized that he wasn't going to make it is when this guy shows up to Danville and he's taking BP and he's like, that is just different. I don't have that. Yeah. And so, and that was that same year.
Oh, yeah.
It was a month later.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you went from going 0 for 23 with 18 strikeouts to getting promoted.
Yeah.
And finally feeling I can do this.
Yeah. I hit 300 in Danville, I think. It was just like I said, it was one of those things where it was new. I didn't know what to expect. The worst was happening in my eyes, I thought. And, it's kind of like when I debuted in 19 and hit the panic button. And just, you not knowing what to expect first time doing anything and hit the panic.
And he was young, too. I mean, he was,
I was 18.
17, 18, okay.
Yeah.
And she and I, Lisa and I have talked about this a little bit. I mean, I think it's, he's 18. I mean, and now he's up there with 21, 22, 23-year-olds, just trying to get settled in, so to speak. You know?
Well, we've had GMs on this podcast, and they've actually said they want to figure out a way as early as possible to kind of create failure for players because you're going to fail at some point in the game. Maybe it's not right when you get drafted. Maybe it's when you're in AA. but you're going to hit that point where you're lost. And if you don't have the tools to figure out how to get out of it, so I think on some level,
it was good.
Yeah, I mean, even when you're in the big leagues,
those two things I wouldn't change it for the world.
Right.
I think it helped me grow as a player.
Yeah,
because like I said, you go back to the mental side of the game, and that was all mental.
Yep. You just knew, like, there's an end to this. I'm going to get out of it. It's just a matter of when. I just got to keep working. And you talked about process earlier. I just got to keep working on the process.
Yep.
And that's the one thing that I tried to take to the kids that I work with right now is the failure. I mean, and just, you're going to fail. I mean, just deal with it and stay a course to what you're trying to get, what we're trying to get done here.
Yeah.
And
I interviewed their assistant hitting coach actually yesterday on the podcast from last year. And he talks about, like, if players earlier could figure out that failure, it's actually a tool, and you're not like avoiding the failure, but when it happens, you realize, oh, this is a good thing because it allows me to figure out how to get through it. And then when I do, now it's like a tool in my toolkit.
Well, you can't get to a higher level without failure.
No.
I mean, you just can't.
No. My guy's a master at it.
Overcoming
it. Dude, honestly, the best players are. The players who stay the longest in the big leagues have failed more than anybody. So then why, when you're 15, are you like, I can't fail? You know what I mean? And that perspective, I do feel like, is a massive shift for a lot of kids.
For sure.
All right, so you work your way through the minor leagues. When he was in the minor leagues, how was that for you guys? How did you guys accept the business side? Was that easy? Was it like, man, this is frustrating? Because we would have conversations and you're like, why is this happening?
Oh, yeah.
Right? Why isn't he getting promoted yet?
Oh, yeah. It was frustrating because I've always thought he was the best. Yeah.
To me, it wasn't that frustrating because...
Well, you just want it to go and get, I was
because we were seeing
a time or two.
For me, I was seeing progress every year. I mean, because I don't think he ever stayed in, each year he moved up a level. So, and to me, and not ever going through it, I mean, but as long as you're seeing progress and he's moving forward and he's having success at every level that he's has been in, I mean, really a lot of success, then at least on the field side, that I had no issue with it at all.
So when you came back from like the pro off seasons, like the first couple off seasons, how would you guys work together? Would you get right back into the cage and it was like just like normal?
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, it wasn't ever, because I think we talked so much during season, it wasn't like you were reintroducing something new. So, I mean, it just was like one of those things where, I would, take a month off and then, we kind of had
it right back at it.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't have to catch up on anything because there was a line of communication.
Yeah.
I was ready to get back.
Well, and I know one of the most frustrating times was you go to big league camp with the Braves, you go off in spring training, they sent you back to AAA to start the season. And that was the year that you debuted, right? And I remember having a conversation with you and I said, look, there's a reason why they're doing this, obviously, right? They're doing it because they've got other guys in the big leagues. On some level, it benefits teams when they delay your clock, even though that's now changed in the big leagues. And I remember telling you, like, you have to embarrass this league and show them that you're above this, right?
Right.
And I think a lot of players, when they're faced with the same thing, they're so frustrated that when they go down, it affects their performance. And so instead of going off, which you did, now they're hitting 250 and they're striking out too much. And they're just like, in a sense, it's almost like you're trying to piss the team off, right? Like, screw you guys. I'm not even... And what players ultimately don't realize is like, well, that's affecting your career now.
For sure.
So to your credit, you did the opposite and you went off and you hit like 15 homers in the first like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Right? In the minor leagues.
I had 3 on Mother's Day.
3 on Mother's Day.
3 on Mother's Day. Gets called up to the big leagues. And I remember telling you too, it's like, even though right now in the big leagues, it may look like they don't have a place for you, they're going to need that bat in the lineup. They're going to figure it out. So that's when you started to play a little outfield that first year, right? Which was interesting.
I was a plus defender.
Not bad.
Plus
not bad.
defender
but you had never done it before, right?
No,
you had never done it before.
I played 4 games in the minor league before I played the outfield.
But then, so you get to the big leagues, hit a homer in his debut. I was there with you guys. Give me some. ago. And you went off, right? You hit how many home runs in the first?
15.
Another 15 homers in the big leagues, like right away. And then what happened?
I hit a wall.
Hit a wall.
Yeah.
Now, from your perspective, what was the lesson that you needed to learn at that point?
It kind of went back to the whole start of my pro career of just like understanding the failure of the game and how to process it. And I think, what I had to learn and what I've learned over the years of, watching Freddie Freeman, watching, Josh Donaldson in 19, Brian McCann, Nick Markakis, it was always about like, they didn't change whenever things weren't going well. And I think, I still deal with it, to this day is like the good ones that, have really good careers and stay in the big leagues for a long time, no matter how good they're doing, if they're going through a struggle, their routine stays the same. They know it works, they trust it, and then it's just a matter of time before they come out. And I think that's what I, ultimately needed to learn. One, that it wasn't that easy.
Mm-hmm.
And two, I myself needed to learn how to process failure the right way, I guess I should say. And how to use it to my advantage and to grow as a player.
Did you ever fail in like your travel baseball years?
Pro ball was like the first true failure.
Right.
Failure, where it's like getting dominated.
When you talk about the pressure that maybe these big leaguers feel, right? For you, when was that first time you felt that? Was it when you first signed and you were before you were 0 for 23, but like you're 0 for 10?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So,
right out of the gate.
And you had never felt that failure before?
Not that much.
Okay.
No, it's different. I mean, just like I said, you're doing it for a living at this point, and you're with a team that's got hundreds and hundreds of thousands of fans that are following you, especially being drafted at a higher level, they're following you on a daily basis. So yeah, there was some pressure there that I've never felt.
Did you feel like, hey, I was the team's first round pick? Like there's an expectation, I have to live up to it. Did that thought come to mind?
Yeah, that at times, especially when I wasn't doing well, it's like, some pep talk of telling myself to get it together. You're better than this kind of self-talk, more or less.
If you think about when you were going into your senior summer, right? Because that's like the summer that everybody like puts on their calendars, like this is the most important summer. I have to do something. Compare the pressure that you felt when you were 0 for 23. Compare that to the pressure, if you felt any, going into that senior summer. Does it even compare?
It was different. Like I said, because one, you're on your own, and you're going back to your hotel room by yourself, and you're this is like the first time you're dealing stuff by yourself. Like whereas like in high school, when I've had a bad game, I got to ride back with them and we talked through it. When we talked through it on the phone, but it's like
it's less serious.
Yeah, it's less serious. Whereas this is like
more to lose,
so to speak. So yeah, I think it's different for sure.
Okay. Did you guys feel pressure? Like when he was going into that senior summer?
Not his high school, because no matter what happened in the whatever happened with the pros, we knew he had a solid place to go to, Mississippi State, which that's where he had committed
it's a good fallback.
to. So
yeah,
I mean,
I wouldn't say there was zero pressure, but it wasn't like a,
It was.
I had more pressure when I pitched than when I did hitting.
Me too.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
because it didn't feel like that was like natural.
That wasn't my. I just felt like there was pressure there because I didn't really want to do it, so I felt pressured there.
Oh,
and like I said, my arm hurt, and times that my velo would drop, scouts would be like, "Hey, what's up?"
Yeah,
that kind of thing. So, but that was like, hitting. I never felt it hitting.
Yeah, that's interesting. We all know what happens. You get to the big leagues. 2021, you guys win a World Series. You went out, you got MVP votes. You won all MLB. You were an all-star, Silver Slugger winner. I want to talk about when you're now a couple years in the big leagues. you're arbitration eligible for the first time, and the Atlanta Braves, and we've talked about this on this podcast before, even you and I have, the Atlanta Braves offer you a contract of $100 million. What were you guys thinking at that point?
Gotta take it.
No, I'm like, what? You're
Well, and I
kidding
remember
me.
because we're having conversations.
Yeah.
My role, obviously, as you guys know, and all this is like, I just have to educate you.
And you did.
So,
Very well.
Very well.
Right.
You did
Thank you.
good.
but I recognize when you're trying to help a family understand that $100 million is not the right number, I understand how that can be like, wait, come again? 100 million is not the right number, but we're never going to spend 100 million. How, right? So what was it? And maybe you never felt comfortable with those conversations because it's like, oh man, this is a big risk. What was it that got you guys collectively as a group to say, well, I'm betting on myself?
It wasn't very long. I mean, we really didn't. It was
It was
quick.
It was quick. It was quick.
I remember exactly where I was standing whenever we turned it. I was in New York outside, I walked outside the locker room. But I think that's where it's like I go back to, just thankful for you and everything that, like I tell people, I was like, I trust him with anything. It's like just the knowledge. There was never any pressure. Like from the day one, there was never any pressure of like, I never felt like
I'm telling you to do this or don't do this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where I think like there's people out there that do that. It's like you always were just like a knowledge base. That's how you presented things. And it's like you've educated me to the right decision. And that's where it's like we had gained this much trust leading up to this point where ultimately I was like, when you told me, I was like, hey, we needed to, for me, I know it was like, it was a lot more easier decision than I think.
Why would Matt be telling me this if he didn't actually
right,
believe that
because
this was...
we had built, there was that much, there's multiple, years and years of just like trust that we had built between each other. And like I said, when it came to that point, it was like, we're in each other's corner. It's like, whatever, I'm leaning on you on this.
I think this is a credit to you because once Austin told us what they had offered, and he told us that you said that was not a good number, and I'm like, what? and but then, and
this is before he was on the Coors Light commercials and all this.
Yeah. And I said he's going to have to because
well, it's funny because I remember telling you, I'm like, listen, I'm going to call your parents because I don't expect that you're going to be able to like just share with them what I'm saying. Yeah.
Of course, we talked about it a little bit, but I said, well, Matt's going to have to explain this, and I said, but I really never doubted.
We were never like, there is no,
he's crazy.
He's crazy. Yeah. Well, I've said that before, but
I mean, you do a really good job of
breaking it all down.
Breaking it down. This is why.
There's no ego. Well, I think like a lot of these
like
agents,
this is great. I'm kidding.
No, I mean, it's just true. It's just true that there's no ego behind what you do. And it's like, I think that's where a lot of these agents and kids, and that's why I love what you're doing with this podcast. It's like, it's all information. And it's at the end of the day, it's our career and we have to make the decision. But it's like finding an agent that can feed you the right information and ultimately let you make the decision, but lead you down that way. I think you're hitting the nail on the head.
Well, and so funny enough, we obviously turn it down.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We're now 2 months later, and now they want to engage and talk about the multi again. And we eventually, so they come back and they offer what Matt Olson got. It was like 170-ish, right?
For 8.
Which I tell you again, not the right number, right? And at that point, that was the highest contract in Braves franchise history. So you're like, we're turning down the highest contract in Braves franchise history. I'm like, yes, just trust me on this. It's not the right number. And we're going through reasons as to why, right? I'm not just saying like, trust me, you don't have to look at anything. It's like, this is why. And for me, it was really, okay, I need to make sure that whatever that decision is, it is like clear and I feel confident because if we turn it down, you got to go out and perform.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And I understand what happens sometimes with players. They feel like, let's just say you went 0 for 30 after turning it down. Now are you regretting turning it down? So we turned down 212. And I could tell there was an uncertainty. Like you didn't feel as confident in wanting to turn that number down. And so We continued to talk through it. And I asked you a question. I said, all right, let's assume for a second you turn this down. You got to stay healthy. You've got to go out there and continue to perform at this level, right? And if you do all those things, you're going to make more money than this, but it may not be with the Braves. So let's talk about some of these other organizations that might actually want to pay you that money. Now, it's no guarantee because it's in 3 years from now, and we went through all these various teams and you were like, I'd rather be with Atlanta. I'd rather be with Atlanta. I'd rather be with Atlanta. Yeah. And there was one other team, and it wasn't even you saying I'd rather be there than Atlanta. It was like, that's the only team I could think of where like maybe I would like it just as much.
Right.
And I'm like, would you bet $212 million that all those other things are going to happen and that one team is going to be the team that comes and gives you that money? How do you feel about it? And you're like, I'm taking the deal.
Yeah.
Right?
He called me and he said, you're lying. I said, you're lying. You're lying.
Right? And so as you guys look back on it now, do you ever like pinch yourself and like, I can't believe we're like, this is my life.
I mean, it's crazy. It's truly just the Lord's blessed us. I mean, that's no other way to put it. Is just he's truly blessed us. I mean, to be able to play a game for a living and do whatever we want, whatever we want to do when it comes to, just, I'm able to buy some hunt. I've always wanted to buy some hunt lands. I literally just closed yesterday on
which we're going to go tomorrow.
Yeah, we're taking Maddie on his first hunting extravaganza tomorrow. So everything that's like, I've ever like dreamed about and talked about, and it's kind of, it's coming in effect. It's crazy.
How's it been for you guys? Obviously, the last couple of years, he's been banged up a little bit. How's it been not being able to watch him actually play?
I don't like it.
Frustrating.
It is.
You don't see him out there, but
sucks for me more than it does.
I know, but it's a part of it's a part of every sport.
Yep.
Not just baseball. So you know what's going to happen. You just try to do everything you can prior to prevent anything from happening. And I think he does. He works out, works hard. So
the last, we were talking about it. Me and Jordan, my strength guy. It's like the last 2 years have been the best shape I've been in my life. The fastest I've been, like as far as like sprint speed, moving left and right because they track it all at third base. Like moving the best I've ever moved, and it's like I've been hurt the last couple of years. It's just like,
well, in a funny way, take the 0 for 23, take the failure that you had in the big leagues. This is just another version of it. Right? Getting yourself to now being in the best physical shape ever. You're now training in a certain way, like your body better than you ever have.
Yeah.
I mean, I literally just asked you before this podcast, how's your body feel? You're like, bro, I feel amazing. Yeah. Right? You have to go through that stuff to get to this place.
For sure.
All right, last question, and this is for all of you guys, and we'll go one by one. What's your favorite memory that you have of playing baseball? Any memory?
For me, I think it's the hotel room after we won the World Series.
I love it.
We're all in there, and it's just like, it's just crazy, and we're just like, I remember that, it was like, we were like, so what do we do? It's just like, we ended up, we obviously went up going to the after party, but like kind of all
was that at the Ritz?
Yeah, it all kind of came together right there. That was pretty sweet for me.
Yeah, that was fun. We could all celebrate that.
Yeah.
I had the flu then, so it's all kind of
she couldn't go.
I was so sick. I didn't even go to the after party, and I look back and think, what the heck? I missed that.
So what was your favorite memory?
There. Probably.
And it could be when he was
in high school.
Yeah,
probably
right.
in high school, and I can't. He had his probably your junior year was at 0.9 ERA or something. Nobody could hit him. I didn't want him to pitch because it made me nervous. But that, and then we were in Tupelo, and I know we got behind twice, and you hit a home run both times. Like over on their football field, we won the game.
I love it.
It's just that kind of.
Mine's his first home run in the big league.
That was crazy.
That was crazy. I knew you were going to pick that.
I mean, there's so many great moments, but I mean, that's to me, because that's the ultimate stage.
Oh, yeah.
That's the highest stage.
Oh, yeah. And I remember talking to you before the game, like, hey, what if he hits a homer today? Second at bat?
Second, yeah.
I remember where he hit it, too. I remember standing right next to you. We went nuts. This year, I had a kid making his debut in Atlanta, and I talked to you before the game, and I said, hey, I'm going back to Atlanta for another kid's debut. Can you imagine if he hits a homer? And he hit a homer in the first pitch.
First pitch.
Did he not hit 2 home runs?
No, he hit 1 homer, but he robbed a home run in the first inning. Yeah. But it was the same deal. I was like,
what the heck?
I've done this before. This is great. Yeah. Real fast, because I want to interject here. Where'd that rice bucket come from, that idea? I've had people reach out to me after our first podcast and saying like,
just like anything else, we researched, trying to research how to get.
Wasn't it? Didn't he do the paper? It was like, that's how it all, because he would do like that's how they all like, he'd always do this like, that's how he got big forms, because that's how he threw, because he did.
I used to tell him, like, I keep a rubber band. I said, put this around your fingers in class and then work on as you're sitting there, work on your strength in your fingers.
So good.
So anyway.
All right. Mike, one thing parents should stop doing at youth baseball games.
Complaining.
Austin, favorite bat of your career and why?
Obviously, first homer in the big league.
Homer in the big leagues. Love it. Mike, one hitting drill that you believe no matter what players should do, no matter what trends come and go.
I'd slide, whatever that may look like.
So, okay, slide meaning like drift, I guess, for everybody. Okay. So what drill would you do with him to prevent him from doing that?
A bucket with Velcro between his legs.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You still do that?
Yeah.
Nice. Now we're talking. All right, Lisa, what's one thing you wish more sports parents understood?
I probably would just enjoy it. I don't think we enjoyed it because we were so worried about everything. And being at a public school, like we had somebody call and say that Austin was getting improper benefits from one of the colleges. Well, he wasn't, but just worrying.
So it was stressing you out.
Yes.
So don't stress, enjoy it.
Yeah.
Recognize it's going to go by fast.
Yeah, and it does. Very.
I love it. Austin, hardest pitcher you've ever faced?
Was it 2021? Tyler Glasnow.
On the Rays?
Yeah. It was
Break you out?
I mean, it's even now, like facing when he's with we faced him, the Dodgers. I mean, it's still, it's literally putting it in the mitt.
What I've always found interesting when I ask players this question is everybody has their guy that they're like, I hate facing him. And sometimes you would assume it's like Paul Skeens, it's like the best pitcher. And then oftentimes you're like, oh yeah, the Tigers have this like middle relief guy, and I just, for whatever reason,
I played against him.
There you go, with the Cubs.
It's the weirdest. It comes out so weird that I just can't. I played summer ball with him.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
That's funny. All right, Mike and Elisa, what's the most stressful moment you've had as baseball parents?
Turning down $100 million.
Look how that turned out.
Yeah.
Austin, was there a moment you almost quit baseball?
No.
Never a time in, when you were a kid and you're like, I'm done.
I don't think so.
Never being serious about it, obviously.
I say that. I spent 4 weeks in Atlanta. World would bat. July.
Yeah. Going into your senior summer.
I think I spent 4 weeks there.
I think it was going into your junior because
so it was the year before.
Because he played up on the 18, 17, 16, and 15.
A whole month in Atlanta playing baseball, and I was like,
and you were just miserable.
I was like, this sucks.
Austin, one word to describe your mom's role in your baseball journey.
Impactful.
Now, before we go, and only if you're comfortable, can you share with everybody your story about kicking at Mississippi State?
Oh,
this famous story that I've heard
about the net.
Yeah.
So
if he can, I can.
So it was my senior year, Jackie Sherrill, my first year, which I loved playing for Jackie, and it was just another long third down. It seemed like we were always in long third downs, and I'd gone over there to start warming up in the net, and which is
so you were punter.
Yeah,
punting. Right. I wanted to make sure people understand so they can visualize you're punting into a net to get ready to go on the field.
Like you see on TV. Yeah. They're just punting just to loosen up. And of course at Mississippi State, our net where we warmed up was right in front of the student sections. And our Nike cleats that we wore had one little cleat right there in front. And when I went to punt, it got hung up at the top. very, very top. I mean, I was really flexible at the time, and I'm standing there trying to. Anyway, I lose my balance, fall over, net comes down on me. It's now 4th down. I'm trying to get out. Can't get out there, delay a game, unsportsmanlike conduct. I'm not unsportsmanlike conduct, but delay a game. And of course, Jackie wasn't happy, and he had words with me. And I think I tried to explain to him what had happened, and
he wasn't buying it.
And you weren't you in the stands? Did you see it?
Yeah.
Because knowing him, I'm like visualizing this happening.
I didn't know him when he had a negative. That's when I didn't. Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
True freshman. I went to Mississippi State as a quarterback. Ended up punting as a true freshman and winning the job. First game we were playing. I can't even remember who was playing. It was a small school. And I think my first punt was maybe 4 yards, shank for 4, shank for 3, shank for 8. I was fixing to have to punt right before halftime, and I was thinking to myself, please make this first down. And we did. So I get into the locker room, and one of the coaches come by and takes my helmet and says, you won't be needing this in the second half.
That was my favorite one.
That's my 2 good stories for college.
I love it. Every time. It's like the first time I've heard it too. I love all y'all.
Yep.
This has been fun. I appreciate you guys.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah. And we're helping these families out. So thank you.
Yep.